Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now season 21 has ended and pre-season has started, which means we can actively start testing for the new season metas and share our findings and tell you guys what works best and what doesn't. And in this video I will be breaking down the victory track meta, the one that you can practice for easier by having a quick match search, and the one that we are gonna get through quite quickly before we move on to the crit me with your best shot meta, which is gonna be a separate video because that is a fairly fascinating meta in itself. So, pre-season meta is effectively defined by Rich Get Richer. Whichever champion has more unique buffs gains 6% of bar power every second. That means there is power gain involved, and that means that it can be your undoing and you end up eating a ton of level 3s, or it can actually help you. It does make several defenders significantly harder, as it should, and it does make some attackers significantly more potent as well. So when struck, the defender has 10% chance to trigger a Fury buff for 8 seconds, granting plus 100% attack, or plus 100 attack, either way. It's a buff that will in general mean that whoever you're going up against has at least a buff active, and if you do not, they're going to be benefiting from Rich Get Richer. Then Float Like a Butterfly will let you unpause the Fury effects when you dodge or evade an attack, but all of their Fury effects are paused. So that's the gist of the entire meta. It's fairly straightforward. You can use just about any champion as you otherwise would, but some champions will be stronger than others. So starting class by class basis, in science class, you are ideally looking at Petrify, Taunt, or other mechanics that benefit from opponent gaining power, such as Spider Ham. If opponent throws more special attacks, very good for Spider Ham. They reach more bars of power, and it's easier to push them to level 2 and get bigger bursts of detonations active. Luke Cage is a champion that recently is gaining more popularity, and as he is a serpent counter, by being able to reverse that power gain, that same mechanic is going to work and help here. He will not only continue to be a serpent counter, he will be more effective than normal because opponent is going to get their power gain reversed. Then we have Photon, which largely again can spend significant chunk of time with that passive petrifying the opponent, mitigating that power gain that they are getting. In addition, Photon is going to be somewhat of a more dangerous defender because she's going to get her special attacks quicker if she has that Fury buff active on her, and many of her counters typically do not have any buffs at all. And Scorpion, similar point as with Spider-Ham, and he does have Taunt just like Spider-Ham. Now in defense, in my own personal testing, Bullseye has become significantly more dangerous of a foe, because again, most of Bullseye's counters don't really have many buffs on them, like looking at Onslaught, looking at Sinister, which means at a point where you strike the Bullseye and he gets his first Fury up, he's going to be getting to his special attacks quicker, and that's a big problem because then you need to start working with the evade. So Bullseye is more dangerous than normal. One of his better counters so far has been Warlock, to be honest, for me at the very least. And we have Atuma. Atuma, I did not expect to be as tough as he turned out to be, but similarly to Bullseye, most of Atuma's counters don't really have buffs active on them, like Shuri, like Onslaught, like Havoc, whoever you use. And if you strike Atuma and he gains that Fury, which he will because he will effectively have increased ability accuracy, also will mean he gets to his specials quicker. The more special attacks he activates, then he starts becoming unstoppable, then you kind of have to parry him, then he gets a lot of concussions on, and then it's just downhill from there. So Atuma is quite significantly dangerous. Similar idea to Killmonger. If you can protect him from armor break, his reverb is much harder to manage, as it would be generally. Now offensively, Valkyrie is quite busted for this meta because she is the champion that will have 2 to 3 buffs active at most times, thus you will be winning the Rich Get Richer race, and that extra power gain helps her tremendously to finish out fights quicker and take on bigger health pools. Now Kate, again, she does have very solid AI manipulation. Rich Get Richer doesn't disturb her too much, and she is, obviously an amazing balance champion, so she is something to watch out for. Then we have Mr. Sinister, still very good, but the issue with Mr. Sinister is quite similar as with Bullseye. If you are going up against Mr. Sinister that gains more power than normal, then you need to worry about that level 1 and degen or concussions on level 2. Overall, he's not like the most awful champion, but he's still somebody to watch out for in this meta. Then we have Domino with the extra power gain, and failing your abilities could be quite devastating too. And offensively, she still can be a nuke. On tech class, we have Fam, because he does have power control and that armor buff to be able to offset those furies that opponents will gain. We have Warlock, one of the best bullseye counters so far that I have found in this meta, because you can, consistently keep power draining the opponent, unpause the furies in timely manner, and you will otherwise be winning the buff race if opponent doesn't have any. Guardian, similar mechanic, getting more specials to Guardian is tremendously helpful for him finishing out fights quicker. Red Skull is faster than he is normally on offense and is more dangerous on defense, because if he activates level 2, that's unstoppable buff, in general he will always have armor buffs, and now when striking him he will have that fury. Starhand Spider-Man, very cheekily OP in this meta, because at the start, once you are building the poise charges, you keep dexing and you have the dex buff active on you, which means that in many matchups you will be winning the buff race. And then, when you ramped up, you will already be much closer to your level 2 or at level 2, and then you can start the nuke very, very potent. And then obviously the class that shines the most is the Cosmic class. We have Adam Warlock, tons of buffs at all times, already power gain in itself. So Adam Warlock's very, very crazy. Gallon is stronger than normal because of extra power gain, having loads of buffs. CGR, again, stronger than normal, getting rid of opponents' buffs, having plenty of buffs himself, nuking down opponents. Hulkling, again, extra power gain to Hulkling, sounds exactly like what he needs. We still have Hercules. Superior Iron Man should be crazy good for this, winning every buff race pretty much. Serpent, still more dangerous as a defender than normal, because, just give Serpent more power. That's, again, exactly what he needs. Venom, crazy good attacker this meta. Vox should be amazing too. And the last class that we didn't take a look at still was Mystic, and that would be America Chavez, because she can actually benefit from opponent gaining extra power by reversing it, and she's absolutely deadly in this victory track meta. Then we can still, Dr. Doom might be making a slight comeback, kind of doubt about it. Kushala still kind of works just about fine. She's harder to use against Serpent because of the extra power gain that Serpent gets, but in general, in matchups where it's not as dangerous and opponents don't have a net inherent power gain, those fury buffs kind of help her do somewhat more damage and help her gain power quicker too, because she gains power when opponent gets a buff. So Kushala is quite good for this meta. Longshot is crazy good because on defense he has increased ability accuracy, so he will be gaining more and more of those fury buffs, and if he's awakened he has a chance to nullify opponents' buffs by default. And then obviously more special betting from Longshot significantly stalls down the fight or completely does you over. Juggernaut's arguably the best attacker in this meta, because he does have his unstoppable buffs by default, then he can get energized and he can get fury, and his damage is insane. So Jugs is just crazy beast in this meta in particular. Mephisto, also quite solid attacker, because quite solid defender, because Science champions aren't too populous in this meta because they do not ever have a chance of winning Rich Get Richer nodes. And then you also prevent opponents from having buffs at the beginning of the fight. Extra power gain on Mephisto makes it that much harder to deal with him. White Tiger is good in this meta because she does have a buff on her own, the Fury buffs, and she also has some power control in her kit, which can be tremendously helpful. And those are kind of the main champions for the victory track meta. Oh yeah, Hood's also good because of the Fate Seal and Stagger, and himself getting that invisibility buff, which typically lets you win the buff race, so he can spam specials even more freely, even quicker. Those are the MVPs that I have noticed so far in victory track meta. It is a very open meta. In theory, you can use just about any champion. No champions are being excluded from this meta. So again, obviously keep in mind your rank relationships. Champions higher ranks and so on and so forth. But let's face it, that's the victory track meta. It is something that we are gonna try and get through in order to get to the main dish, which is crit me with your best shot meta, which is extremely unique and completely misunderstood by a lot of players. Even though we have played crit me with your best shot meta several times, a lot of people still are kind of completely in the dark about how that meta works or how you do well in that meta. And people think that nuking everything is the most important thing, and champions that have high damage output in that meta are like the best and beasts and fill up decks with a lot of nuke champions. When in reality, crit me with your best shot meta largely works on slowing your opponent down and trapping them into awful matchups and not having proper counter to that stuff. Thus, majority of the drafts are largely defensive with only one or two, dedicated attackers. What you're looking for is opponent to get trapped behind Havoc without having an armor up champion. What you're looking for is for opponent to, get a Serpent without counter. What you're looking for is get a Bullseye without counter, so on and so forth. You're looking for a lot of that. And there are many crazy interactions and quite crazy champions that work on defense in unexpected ways. Either way, that will be a separate video, but for now, I have given you guys my initial MVPs or expected MVPs for this victory track meta. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all